My name is Philip Lamar and you're watching Fabulously Philip. I'm from Austin, Texas. I'm just a young, ambitious individual with some really big dreams. Come along with me as I share my journey with you. Stay fabulous. In this episode, I talk about my experiences with my sexuality and I also talk with friends about theirs. Trigger warning, as this episode does talk about sexual assault.
I met Daniel off of Hinge.
Tonight, I'm with Matt at a coffee shop and we're talking about our dating lives.
I feel like I meet most guys off of Hinge.
Tinder is very annoying because I'll get matches and people don't answer back or they don't send you a message. It's like, why the fuck did you match me then? What's the point of matching if you're not gonna answer? That's so annoying. It's pointless to me.
I'm not all for meeting up so quickly, but I think it's important. I thought it ended pretty good. We both had a lot of common interests, had common traumas.
I guess that's better than you wanna fuck? Well, that's cool that it's been a good experience and all that. Maybe I'll try Hinge. Sponsored by Hinge. Because fuck Grindr, fuck Tinder, fuck Bumble.
How was Grindr?
For me, younger me would use it because I was very bad at meeting people in person. I don't flirt with people, and when people flirt with me, I can't tell that they're flirting. So right. Grindr was a very easy way out. To not have to go through the whole, oh, do they like me? But it's very the culture there is unhealthy. Most people don't meet their significant other on there. It happens, right. But Grindr's a hookup app. That's really what it is. So I decided, I was I don't want to be on that kind of platform anymore. Don't want to associate with that, so I don't use it. I think you have a healthy dating life. If we compare, I was very hook up. I didn't want anything serious because I've had my heart broken multiple times, right. And I was traumatized, so I closed myself off in that way. I was numb in that aspect. I don't want anything serious, and I think a lot of people not wanting anything serious comes from a place of trauma. They're guarding themselves, trying to protect themselves from that heartbreak.
Yeah.
And mine was so significant that I just did not trust to go down that path. But now I'm no, I don't want to be this person that hooks up. I don't want to worry about, oh my God, do they have STDs? Or I want to have a genuine connection and be able to trust someone and not worry about stupid shit like that. I'm hoping the right person comes in an unexpected way. Maybe I'll meet them in person, because my whole life it's been meeting people online, and I would like a change to happen where I meet this person in person.
Who do you feel your ideal person is?
They tend to be more mask appearing, so people probably tend to think they're straight, mm-hmm. But they're not. Right. That tends to be my type. But within that, it's still a wide range. I would want someone who takes initiative, who acts like the man, as far as what their interests are, or I don't care if they're into sports or if they're into things that I don't really know or because I'm sure I like things that they probably don't know or I'm very into skincare and social media and putting myself out there, so I am introverted, though. I know that for a fact. Someone who balances me out, I guess.
I guess from me to you, from your traumas, how you are now, and how you see the world in the sense of being intimate, romantic, or, kind of exclusive to anybody. I
guess as I've gotten older, I've realized, oh, I blocked myself off because of the traumas, and that's not healthy. So I've sort of now I'm I am open to the idea of seeing someone and developing something healthy with someone, because back then I used to think, oh well, if I lock down with somebody I can't do the things that I want in life, and that's not necessarily true. The right person will be supportive. I guess I've opened my mind up to that, versus back then I was very nope. And I guess realizing that that's not healthy, I'm in a different spot with myself now. Sometimes I want something, but then other times I'm no, get away from me. Being open to someone is definitely new for me. I've realized I don't want to do this my whole life, because I'm so used to just keeping myself guarded that I've got to unlearn that. So I'm hanging out with my friend Abe, and we're talking about our experiences of growing up in the church. So we all seem to have like those stories that make us who we are, but especially like as gay people. Like we all have our canon events. What's your story?
So I came out pretty early, I would say, like earlier than a lot of people. Definitely like 8th grade-ish.
8th grade was whenever I realized like, oh, I like guys.
Yeah, so I did 2 summers of conversion camp. And it was just like a Christian thing. They didn't call it conversion camp because it was like Baptist. But I think that was like the hardest time because I was like really trying to like find myself. But then like people were just like shoving it down my face that you're like, this is just a phase. Like, this is not you. Like, God, this and that, all that stuff.
So like this camp was specifically for like gay kids?
Mm-hmm. They didn't call it that though. It was like just a bunch of like it came out of like people like came from like all different parts of Texas, and it was like in what specific spot, and it was just boys, and it was meant for that, but they didn't call it that. It was just like Christian camp or something like that.
And so that you said they just talked about why being gay is wrong and all that?
Yeah, and like we would get in a circle, and there would be like shock therapy. Like they would have like little like shock thingies that we would have to hold in our hands. And I don't know what the technology was, but like it would shock you every time like you, I guess like maybe your heartbeat or something. Like if you felt something.
Mm.
Like they would make us like hug each other and like be around people.
Mm.
I don't know, it was weird. But
did that traumatize you at all, or?
It did for a little bit, but after like my dad was fine, because my dad was the one that like set everything up and everything. Once my dad like got over it and like we talked about it, my dad's like fully accepting now. Like I asked him like 2 years ago, I was like, if I get married to a guy, will you come to my wedding? And he said, yeah. So we're past the whole like all that stuff. That was just a thing in the past. So we're good now. Like me and my dad are good, me and my mom are good, we're all fine, and they know. But yeah, it was pretty traumatizing then. I never knew that Abe went to conversion camp, and it saddens me that he had to go through that.
I can't believe you've gone through that. Like I never knew that about you, that you had gone to conversion camp.
Yeah.
So I was really surprised when I heard.
Yeah.
Growing up, going to church, you're told that being gay is wrong, and you didn't ask to be this way. You're told that it's sinful, and it honestly takes a huge toll on you. Finding yourself is already hard enough. Then to throw religious trauma on top of that, it's so tough. I have like an experience with the church that kind of with the church.
The church of Jesus Christ.
It traumatized me, and it was more so a situation with this other boy. We were really good friends. Just the way he would talk to me and the things he would say to me were very flirtatious. So pretty much, I fell for this boy. But then when we would talk about like being gay, like if I brought up that subject about like, what do you think about gay people? He'd be like, oh, it's a sin. And it just didn't really make sense. We kind of had that like tension, that gay tension.
Was he in denial, or?
That's what I don't know. I could think perhaps, like, because why would he talk to me the way he would talk to me? And our friendship was very unlikely. Like, he was this athletic boy, and I was this feminine boy with a bunch of girls as friends. Like, all his friends were sporty. He had no other friends that were like me. And so it's just like, why were we friends? And so my belief is that we liked each other, and it was just the tension that was there, but nothing ever happened. And we stopped being friends after a while, a little after I told him that I liked boys. He was still my friend for a while, but then we kind of got in an argument about something, and then he called me the F word. And I just couldn't get over that. Like, I didn't know how to really process that. He was asking, can we just forget about it and please just be friends? And I tried, but I just didn't know how to take it.
Yeah.
So after a while, we stopped being friends, and then this one time I like lashed out on him on Twitter. Like, I was like cussing him out, And then his mom called my mom and was like, I'm gonna get a restraining order if I have to, if your son doesn't leave my son alone. And so just that whole situation, they stopped going to the church that I went to. And after a while, I stopped going to that church because just that whole thing just really weighed a lot on me. You know, feeling like being gay is wrong and it's already hard finding yourself. It took a toll on me, and with this complicated friendship, when it went south, I actually felt suicidal. And I ended up in a mental hospital for a whole week, a psychiatric evaluation hospital. I was struggling to accept myself, and then I lost a friend that I had really hard feelings for. It was just too much to deal with. I remember the doctor had me in a room and she was like, Philip, you're not sharing the truth with me. You're in here because you like boys and you don't know how to deal with that. And she was like, Philip, it's normal at your age to have these feelings. That doesn't mean that this is who you're going to be. And I looked at her and I was like, well, I know that this is who I am. And I walked out. I was discharged a couple of days later. I didn't tell my family for another year, but I was outed by that boy's mother because she called my mom angry, saying, your son thinks my son is gay and my son's not gay no matter how much your son wants it to be true. So technically I was outed to my mother, but it wasn't really brought up in discussion until about a year later. And when it was, my family was very accepting about it, so it wasn't an issue. After I got out of the hospital, I actually left a love letter at the boy's door, confessing all my feelings for him and why I was acting the way I was acting. It's kind of crazy to think about, but I was just doing what I felt was right at the time. So yeah.
We take our time to fly. We're champions in the sky. So let's ride tonight.
Hi. So I'm visiting my friend David. He's a longtime friend of mine. He also happens to be gay and he's 70 years old. We're just both talking about our experiences as being gay. Like I told you before, like the whole AIDS epidemic, there's just something about it that has always interested me, like just learning about that. I think there's like generational trauma when it comes to that, because growing up I was always scared. Even now I'm scared of catching that, even though I don't hook up a lot.
You should be more concerned about other things.
Yeah.
You know, just the more typical STDs. You're way more likely to get, you know, syphilis or chlamydia.
I've gotten chlamydia a few times.
Well, that's what you're going to get.
Thankfully that's treatable, but like I just always grew up so scared. Like whenever I was like 13, I thought I caught HIV from masturbating. Like I was so scared.
You know, man, you know, I've told you my story. I mean, I lived through that time, right?
Yeah.
And I was not sexual at all. And, you know, and I think the fact that I wasn't sexual, I think I've told you this before, I think there's a very good chance that saved my life. I was terrified. I mean, imagine what that's like. You know?
Yeah.
I mean,
I honestly think had I been around that time, I would have been very high risk for contracting that, because, you know, like after the abuse that I went through at 16 by that guy that I pressed charges against.
I remember, I know the story.
I slept around a lot because I was trying to get this feeling that he made me feel back, and it just was, no one ever could make me feel that way. But you know, if that had happened back then, me sleeping with all these people, I probably would have gotten it.
That's what most gay guys do. You know, they sleep. You know, they sleep around.
Yeah.
You know, and
I will admit I had in the past slept around, but I'm
nothing to be ashamed of. That's.
Yeah, I won't be ashamed of it, but I just know that I don't prefer to be someone who sleeps around. Like I'd rather stick to one person. But I know that there are people. They like to sleep around.
I think that's the norm. At least in my, I mean, not that I've lived that life, but that's the norm that I've heard anyway.
Part of me wonders if it's like a male thing, like guys like to have sex, or if it's a trauma thing, like, or if it's a mix of both.
I think it's a male thing.
Yeah. I guess you were always afraid when you were younger, so you never really got to experience.
Afraid is an understatement. No, I was mortified.
When did you realize you were gay?
It's funny you asked that question, because I was thinking about this the other day. I remember exactly when it happened. Probably the 8th grade, I was on the school bus. I remember standing behind a couple other boys that were giving another boy, calling him faggot and whatever, I forget what the terms is. But I remember standing behind listening to all this going on and saying to myself, holy shit, that's what I am. Because I'm a boy that likes boys. And I made a decision at that moment that no one would ever know that about me. Ever. And no one did for a very long time. And I got very, very good at hiding myself. And even to this day, gay people don't look at me and read me as gay. You know,
You're very straight passing.
I by design, absolutely by design. I mean, not that I was ever probably effeminate to begin with, but or gay appearing to begin with, but I made sure I would never be that way.
Sometimes I think people like David who can't tell are gay have it lucky because people don't know your sexuality unless you want them to know. Versus me, no matter what, people are going to be able to tell my sexuality. Like, I'm more effeminate. It's just a no-brainer. But then it might be a curse. I don't know. It's like a blessing and a curse. Like, no matter what, I have to be true to myself because people are going to know the truth anyway. But then maybe people like Dave, maybe it's hard. Maybe you feel the pressure to be someone that you're not. I think realizing you're gay is just such a hard thing to come to terms with for most people anyway. So whether you're more masc appearing or femme appearing, it can still be a stressful situation. Whenever I was 16 and that adult was taking advantage of me for months, and that destroyed me more. Like, that took like 4+ years of my life, because for 4 years that's all I could think about.
I remember I met you right in the middle of those.
Yeah.
After, you know, was it a year after all that or 2 years?
It was a year.
And I remember you were in the middle of all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then finally at 21, I pressed charges. Whenever I was 16, I was online. I was curious about my sexuality and connecting with other people. So I was on a dating app that was meant for people who were 18 and older. I was truthful to people about my actual age, even though I shouldn't have been on the app. I met this one guy, and he was cool with the fact that I was underage and in high school. A curious conversation turned into us meeting up at his house, and he ended up being my first kiss. He was very pursuant, and since it was new to me, I didn't know better, and I ended up falling hard for this guy, and he knew that I fell hard for him, and he would just take advantage of my feelings for months. He would use me when it was convenient for him, and then ghost me, get in a relationship. When they would break up, then he'd hit me up again, and then use my feelings, and then ghost me again. And the fact that he took advantage of me in that way, it really ruined my life for the longest time. I became withdrawn. I changed. I withdrew from people at school. I was just always in my head thinking about this guy who abused me. 5 years later, I came forward and I decided to press charges against him for what he did to me.
I just don't know what to do. Story of being abused when I was 16 by someone that I thought had feelings for me. I feel out of touch with myself, and part of me wants to just go home and shut everyone out.
So today I'm going to file a police report about what happened to me whenever I was 16. It's like I don't know what I want. I've contemplated for years. Do I want to jeopardize someone else's life? Do I want to ruin someone else's life forever? And I'm just like, I've done this for years. I have to tell myself and ask myself, don't I deserve justice? You know, you hear like what women go through. People interrogate them or they don't believe them. And then especially like a guy, like, men don't really tend to report like that. Some friends tell me you need to be careful because they're not going to believe you. They're going to ask, why are you barely reporting this? And you're almost 21 years old. Why are you reporting this now? That is not what I was treated like. We all have our reasons why we wait so long, and I have my reasons. I'm like, do I really want to ruin someone's life? But it's like, no, my life was ruined for such a long time.
And I was finally outreached by a detective, a woman who's handling my case. And so tomorrow I go in and I make my statement.
There's the whole damned if you do, damned if you don't. I deserve justice, no matter, even though I might feel bad about it in some little way. As I'm getting further and further through the process, I realize those feelings are going away. I want to press charges against him. I want justice. That is all there is to it. My detective called me the other day and she was like, or he just knows at this point that I am trying to get a hold of him and he's not answering me. And so I've put a warrant out for his arrest.
And it surprised me because I was like, oh, did you call star 67? Part of me was just hoping maybe he didn't know. I really wanted to believe that he would cooperate. He's just someone who runs away from his issues, and it's not my job to feel sympathetic for him. I'm going to keep fighting for myself. He was arrested after a warrant was put out because he didn't want to talk to my detective. Wow. Like, this is real.
Now, and I've told you this before, I think that's incredibly courageous of you to do that.
A lot of people, when they come forward about stuff like that, there's not enough evidence.
You had chat histories or whatever?
I had text records, Snapchat history, and I was able to describe everything, like his house, the inside of his house. I was able to give like specific body descriptions.
So it was because he talked about how he would, and I guess you had to do this too, right? You had to go sit down in a cold, sterile room with a fucking cop and just...
I had to give a whole statement, testimony, and it was recorded and everything. And the process was elaborate. I had to tell my story to detectives, go into full detail. It was hard for me to come forward because I still cared about this person, or at least I thought I did. I didn't want to hurt them, and I felt like coming forward was spiteful and that I was just trying to get revenge, but I really wasn't. I was just trying to get out of my head about it. No matter what it was, I was always thinking about him. Things were always making me think of him, and I was just tired of it, and I wanted to move on with my life. And when I did press charges against him and I got justice, I finally was able to move on. But yeah, I had to sit down and give very big descriptions.
I never talk about that shit, period. Much less talk about a couple of plainclothes detectives or whatever that's in that room with you. That's, anyway, I've always thought that was incredibly courageous of you to do that. And your guy went to prison or went to jail, right?
He got put on probation.
On probation.
Because part of me was stuck between like, I want justice so I can move forward, but I don't want to hurt him. I felt like I had an obligation to him, like to not hurt him.
Which is interesting. And I think that's something that as you get older and you look at your life, I think that would be interesting thing for you to tap into. Why did you feel an obligation not to ruin that guy's life?
When he ruined
yours, or at least he put you in a really tough spot.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't say your life has been ruined. You're here now, and you're pretty together, and you're moving forward with your life. But yeah, it was a bitch and pretty awful.
I think it definitely. I don't have arrested development, but it took a huge chunk out of my developmental years. I blamed myself. Like I thought, well, I'm to blame too because I was on that app and I shouldn't have been on that app whenever I was underage. But then I realized, no, he knew I was underage. I told him I was underage, and he still made the choice.
Yeah, and you can't blame yourself for any of that.
And had it been a one-time thing, I wouldn't have come forward about it. But the months of him ghosting me and then coming back to me when he knew how much it hurt me, that's what really fucked me up. It took over a year from him being arrested to us finally reaching a plea deal. And I decided I wanted a punishment that wasn't too harsh on him, but allowed him to realize how his actions were wrong. So I wasn't out for blood. I definitely think that the conclusion we came to was fair, and it allowed me to move on with my life and take it back.
All things considered, are you okay with how it ended up?
I am, because I wasn't out for blood. I was just out to be able to move on with my life, and ever since I felt like I had my life back. It feels nice to not live life and have someone stuck in your head all the time who hurt you.
Yeah.
And I gave him an opportunity to change. And even when he violated his probation...
Oh, I didn't know about that.
He violated his probation. He got a DUI. I came forward to the judge and I said, hey, instead of revoking his probation, I would like him to go to counseling for his alcoholism, and the judge granted that and was able to.
Oh, you're a fucking saint.
Yeah, but that's the last thing I would ever do for him. Like, no more. If he fucks up again, I gave him a chance.
He goes right to the slammer.
He goes to the slammer. Something I wanted to talk about was like, I've always been like, I don't like talking about my gayness. So I'm at the coffee shop with Abe and we're just talking about my feelings about our sexuality. So, you know, I don't want people to see me as this gay person. Like I want to be seen as Philip. I don't pick to be friends with someone because they're gay. I pick friends because like I think they're cool, or you know, like we just have a good friendship. I've had such bad experiences in the past with other gay, being friends with other gay toxic men. Like whenever I was a teenager and I was friends with these like 20, 30-year-olds and they were like so dramatic, and it's just nice to have other gay friends that aren't that way.
Yeah.
Like I think we have a good friendship. I have a couple other friends that I just think they're good people because I've experienced so much like drama from other gay people that it's like nice to not have to deal with that. Like I just want to be me, and I feel like when people know that people see that I'm gay, there's like pressure, like from like, oh, you're supposed to be a certain way, or people think I have this persona that I don't have, and it's like I wouldn't want to be straight, but I wouldn't want to. I just wish that being gay wasn't such a deal. Like, you know,
Definitely would not want to be straight. But no, I think there is. I guess there is kind of like an expectation for you to be this certain way.
yeah.
I don't know how to answer that question. Because I get what you're saying. I just don't know how it resonates with me.
Yeah.
Because like you said earlier, you just want to be Philip. And I guess I don't really think about, I just want to be Abraham. But it does suck that like being gay is part of your kind of like, I don't know.
My struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I am insecure about being gay. I'm admitting that I'm insecure about being gay at times. I hope it helps me to get over it. I'm Philip, and my sexuality doesn't define me. When people see me, they shouldn't think of my sexuality. I mean, they should just see me as the person I am. Being gay doesn't have to be special. It doesn't have to be bad. It's just my personal business. Like, I'm just me. I definitely appreciate Abe for hearing me out and letting me rant. It's just, there's something about it that I'm really insecure about, and I think it has to do with like experiences in the past, you know, growing up in the church and...
Yeah. I do get like insecure about going out to like straight bars and stuff, and it's always those like stares that you get sometimes that they're just like you feel it, and like
I honestly don't really pay attention. Like Hannah tells me when we go out together, people are always looking at me, and she thinks they're checking me out, but I'm just like, well, I wouldn't know because I don't pay attention to it, and also I don't know what the person's thinking, if they're checking me out or if they're, you know, staring.
that's fair.
So, like, I'm just me. I definitely appreciate Abe for hearing me out and letting me rant. So I'm hanging out with Matt again. I've never really been big on the club scene. Like, I used to want to, whenever I was like seeing that guy as a teenager, the adult that took advantage of me. I used to want to go like clubbing and all that back then because it was like, oh, I felt like that would make me fit in more or be able to hang out with him more. And whenever I was 19, I actually got kicked out of a club for drinking, and I got banned from Rain until I was 21.
That's weird. That's interesting.
Yeah, and now that I'm like of age, I don't really go out. Like, I feel like that's like a big part of the gay community is like people going out, drinking, and this and that, and I've just never really been into all that.
Yeah.
Club culture just isn't my thing, and I know a lot of people get lost in the club culture maybe once in a while with friends, but other than that, like, I don't really care about club culture.
I think also too, like, once you go there, you like, being a very intuitive person, you're kind of like, oh well, not really my vibe.
I don't think it's bad to like check it out or try it out, especially when you just turned 21, like it's new to you and all that. Like, I think that's fine, but I just feel like It's not really my scene.
Yeah. No, I get you. It is definitely like good. Like I had my own experience to be like, all right, well, I know who's who.
Another thing about the gay community that I don't like is the whole like the names. Like they call you like twink, bear, otter. Like it's all about the person's body. We're talking about the body labels that come with the gay community, like twink, otter, bear, those that are based off of someone's body type. And I feel like that encourages body shaming. It's also just like really weird to me. It's never made sense to me. I don't think we should put labels on someone because of their body type.
Okay.
To categorize them.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like body shaming.
It definitely can be. I will say, unfortunately, I joke around about it a lot.
It's funny to joke around.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, like seriously categorizing someone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like it's all based on looks and all that. And it's just like, I don't know. That's also something I've never understood.
Because you'd be surprised like how complex it is. You know, like there's so many guys I've met, I'm like, bottom, but no, but they're not. You're like, okay, like you meet them and it's, I guess everything's very surface level in like the gay community. Like once you start to meet people, you're like, okay, cool, like I don't need to categorize you based on how I see you here, you know? Like once you get to know them, like you'd be surprised. Some of them will sneak up on you and wanna get to know you in other ways. But I'm not saying in that way. I know a lot of people are like, whatever, twink. You know,
I think it's funny. Like it is funny.
Yeah.
Like I'll joke around. I don't know if I've aged out yet or not, but I
Definitely
do.
not.
I know that people would call me a twink.
It's that snail muse thing. Like, do you feel like gay is your identity?
No.
In some ways, no.
And that's a big part of like one of my episodes. Talks about things that a lot of gay people probably have been through, but it's also about like, I'm Philip. We never be like, oh, this person, she's straight. Like, oh, my friend who's straight. Like, we don't talk like that. So why do we say, oh, my gay friend, my friend who's gay? Like, people know me no better than that to ever talk about me like that. I'm not saying like they can't like talk about my sexual orientation, like, but I don't want that to be like what people think of when they think of me. We're so famous.
So famous.
Is it already recording?
Okay, wait. Yeah, what were we talking about?
So I'm with Abe down at the park and we're talking about his experience with his sexual assault. He's opening up to me about it. I'm just hearing him out because it's a serious, important topic. I know you wanted to talk about the situation that happened to you.
The rape one? Okay.
If you want.
Yeah. I'm good with that. This was about 2 years ago, I believe now.
Been 2 years.
August, or 3 years. It's going, like this August will be 3 years since I did get raped. It was on my friend's birthday and I called her and because I had just woken up from it and I felt really bad. And it just spiraled me into like drinking a lot and like just because I wanted the pain to go away. Yeah. So I did, and that was also kind of after I got let go. Like I think a month after that, I got let go from work. So even like now I have all this free time. But yeah, it happened at like this club here in Austin, a gay club, and I really like don't remember anything. I had 1 or 2 drinks.
So no way you could have been blacked out.
Yeah, there's no way. And then just woke up and like I don't know how I would describe it. You saw? Did I send you the video?
Yeah, like you woke up in a wooded area.
In a wooded area behind a hotel. Don't know how I got there. I mean, I knew like I felt something, but yeah, it was not fun. Not my proudest.
I remember urging you to like get help and report this, and I know it ended up not working out, and I just hope that I didn't make you do something that you regretted. I wanted him to get justice, and I was coming from a place because I knew what it was like to come forward about a situation like that, and I just wanted him to achieve the same. I know what it's like to come forward and not know if it will go anywhere. You're gambling when you come forward. Like, you don't know if you're gonna win or not. Thankfully, I had a good experience when I came forward, but unfortunately, Abe's case didn't go anywhere.
You were definitely, like, I feel like you were more, like, advocating for me.
Yeah.
Like, you wanted me to, like, figure this out. But I just, like, I wasn't there.
Yeah.
Like, I was just, like, drinking and trying to forget it even happened.
Yeah.
But I think that you were, like, you just wanted me to get the help that I needed.
I wanted you to get the help because I remember, like, I reported my case 5 years after it happened and I still got justice.
Yeah.
And so I was hoping that with your footage of being in the woods and maybe any, like, security footage from the clubs, I was hoping that you would have gotten the justice too. And so I felt really bad when it didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
But I was still glad that, like, you had tried to. But how are you doing now from it?
I think I kind of, like, try to joke about it every now and then, but I haven't been, like, interested in, like, anybody recently. Like, I find, like, guys cute and stuff, but, like, and I'm, like, on Tinder and Bumble, but I don't want right now I'm still in, like, I don't want to talk to you.
Like, you're spaced out from, like,
Yeah.
people. It's a defense mechanism. Like, I'd been the same way for so long. I mean, even now probably still am, where I just put up this wall where it's like I don't allow myself to be vulnerable with anyone because I don't want someone to, like, break my heart again. So I wonder if it's, like, just a defense mechanism for you, like trying to protect yourself.
Yeah.
Not let people in.
I could say that, yeah. That's very much so. Because, like, yeah, like, there's this guy that I've been, like, talking to for, like, 3 months, and I still haven't met him. I, like, get scared, like, whenever, like, he, like, I want to see you, like, blah, 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 and I'm just like, I don't know, I get scared, and then I'm just like, never mind, I'm not ready. He knows about it too, though. Like, he knows, like, I, like, went into, like, full detail, and I was like, I get scared of men sometimes, and I'm just like, I get, like, flashbacks sometimes, and I'm just like, never mind, I don't want to do it.
I don't know how I could, like, if you ever need anything, you know, if I can help any way I can, just let me know, you know. I don't always know what to say, but
I know. I think I just kind of, like, I just keep trying to, like, push it, and it's fine right now. Like, I joke about it on the podcast sometimes, and it's, like, it's kind of, like, unhealthy, but it's, like, my way of coping with it, with, like, humor. And
yeah, I was writing in detail about my case, and even though I've gone through pressing charges, getting justice, going to therapy, it can still be, like, a lot to have to think about everything and play it out in your head. Even if you've moved on, like, it can still bring up feelings. I'm proud of Abe for trying, though, and I think it's worth a shot for anybody. Even though it's a lot, I think trying to get justice is an important thing, and I'm proud of him for coming forward and telling his story. I'm not ashamed of being gay, and I don't think being gay is wrong. I just feel like I've experienced a lot because of being gay, and I just hope whoever watches this just, like, learns something from this episode. I'm just wanting to share my experiences, and yeah,